So we've taken our impressions on a patient, and now we're going to mount them on the aligner. So first thing we do, we set the aligner up to where the mounting position is for the upper arch. We got the lower table on with the rake and the pin. This vertical column will go up and down. And on the vertical column you got 0, MJ, and then you got how far opening it is. When you mount the upper, you always mount the upper arch on what they call MJ, mounting jig position. That's so you always know if you're dealing just with an upper arch and you're transferring models between the dentist and the lab. When the lab mounts that model, he knows that the upper is always mounted at MJ or mounting jig position. When you take the impression, you have to get the hamular notches in the impression. The hamular notches are about on each side, and they're an indentation. Some people really indentate it, some people just slight. But the dentist has to take an impression that's back behind the second molars at least to get the indentions of the glenoid fossa. Now the way we do that, we get a tray that fits the arch, and then in the back of the tray over where the notches are, we put orthodontic wax, thick orthodontic wax. We put that in there and we put the tray in and we push the tray in the mouth till we see the indentations of the hamular notches in the wax. And then we just take a finger and run your finger over that and make those little indentations just a slight bit deeper. Then you're ready to take the impression. Once you take the impression, then you pour it up, and that's where we are now. We've got the impression poured up, we've got good hamular notches in the impression, and we've got the incisive papilla. Now the point of using the hamular notches and the incisive papilla is these are what we call cranial bone positions. The cranium is the head. The teeth are mounted in alveolar bone. So what you're doing is mounting the head on the aligner and then seeing how the alveolar bone with the teeth in it match the head. Because the brain is always keeping the body horizontal in balance. So if the teeth are not horizontal in balance, the brain cannot keep the body in balance. It's always tightening up muscles to keep the body in balance. So what we're going to do now is mount this on the new aligner so that when the dentist gets this mounted and it's on here, and the lab has one of these appliances, the aligners, you can just send the model to the lab and he knows exactly how you mounted it. So now we've got a rake in here and a pin. The rake and the pin are on top of the horizontal mounting plate, and they're 15 millimeters high. Each one of them is exactly 15 millimeters high. So now you have to loosen this a little bit, so this will go to 0. Once you get it on 0, you tighten it. So now we have the stage for the bottom mounted at 0 where it belongs, and we've got the upper horizontal column mounted at MJ, so we know where we're going to mount the upper. So now we put the model, the two black marks on the rake. Put the two black marks on the rake, and then we've got the pin, and the pin's going to go on the incisive papilla. Once you get that set, you check it. And I can look, the rake is in the right place, the pin has to be, and there's a magnet here that you can use to look down. Yeah, there's a mirror. Okay, I've got a mirror that I look down here, and this way it doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in the middle. It can be anywhere along there. So I got that. I got the pin looks right. So now I've moved the position on the rake to the right position. And now I've looked down through the magnet and I've got the pin in the right place, and so now I'm going to check it one more time. Okay, I got the rake in the right place. I'm looking through the magnet, I got the pin in the right place. And now I check to make sure there's enough room to hook these two together, and there's plenty of room there. So now I'm going to mix up plaster and set this. Now, depending what kind of plaster you have, you can get quick set plaster. And I don't like to sit around and wait for this stuff to take too long to set. So I have slurry mix, which is old models ground up. Now I put a little bit of slurry mix because that makes the plaster set a little faster. We mix the plaster up, and then we vibrate it a little bit. That mixes the slurry. That mixes the slurry water where it belongs. Don't we have these on here?
Yep.
We got the model on there. So now we need to attach the two together. Now if you put this on the stone first, it sets real fast. So I put it up on the mounting plate first. Then I put a little bit of the extra on the stone. We get it on the plate real good. We push that down, and then you can trim up the edges. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can trim the rest of them up later, and then you let that set. Now once that's set, you've got the upper model mounted on the upper member of the aligner. So now whoever has an aligner can take that model and put it on their aligner, and it'll mount in the same place, and they'll get the same readings when they diagnose the case. So now this ought to be pretty well set. We've mounted it, and it's set enough we can check it. So now you unloosen the vertical column and raise it. And then you unloose the top column so you can raise it. Okay, then you take the rake off. Now you've got the head mounted up here, and you want to see if the teeth are in the right place. The teeth have to be very close to the horizontal to be in the right place. So now you can put this down, tighten it there, lower the model down to where the teeth touch, and see how level the arch is. So ideally, you want the 6 front teeth to hit the table and the back teeth to have a slight curve up to where when you get to your second molar, they're about 1.5 millimeters off the table, and everything a gradual arch down. And you don't see that on that patient. The front teeth are off the table. They're not level. In other words, if you look at this arch now, instead of setting level like this, it's tilted like this. This side's up and this side's down. So your arch is not setting level. The left side is lower than the right side. This patient hits over here, and so there's a reason. You can see why his left jaw joint doesn't work right, and why he has pain in the left leg, in the knee and the foot. So now you can develop a system for correcting that. Or if you're going to do any kind of dentistry, you can tell the patient what they need, and then they can accept what they want to do. But a patient like this has got a problem, and if you're doing dentistry the way it should be done, you should be able to correct that problem. If you're making an appliance like a nighttime appliance, snore guard type appliance, you should make the snore guard so the upper member levels the upper arch and the lower is level to that. So if they wear at night, everything's level. The brain can relax and the muscles can relax. If you leave this without any treatment, these people wake up with stiff necks, stiff shoulders, stiff muscles in their jaw. Temporalis muscle is very stiff and sore. If you looked at this patient closely, you see he's got a lot of bone loss around teeth. That's because the bite's off. He's beating the bone to death with the muscles. And so he is now in an appliance to correct that. Now, after you've got this far, and you want to mount the lower to the upper, you simply take the table off, and you put the lower member on, and you put the back part of the lower member to 0, and then you tighten it so it won't move. Okay, so now you take your plate, magnetic plate to put on the lower, get it in the right place. We're going to mount the lower to the upper now. You always mount the lower to the upper at 0. So no matter who mounts this case later, know that it's mounted to 0 when you got the upper and the lower in the right place. And now you take your bite with whatever you're going to take your bite with. We got this kind of material. And this fellow had a lower appliance, and this fit with the lower appliance over on top of this so that it sit right in there. So right now, we're going to say we took a bite registration and we got the lower model and the upper model where we want it. And we got everything set at 0. We check it to make sure there's room. To make sure there's room to put the model on there, and there's just enough room. If we take this little hump out of it. So now we know we got plenty of room to mount the upper to the lower in a bite relationship that we've taken, that we want the upper to the lower. Now this can be any kind of this can be a crown and ridge case, this can be a TMD case, this can be an orthodontic case, this could be a reconstruction case, this could be a snore guard case, you know. And the lab knows exactly where the models fit together if they've got a liner and you've got no liner. You do this on your liners, you ship off stuff to the lab, and the lab knows exactly where everything belongs. So we mount it just like we did before. We fill in our plate. We want all that filled in so that and then we put it on the top. And we know we're real close, so we don't have to worry too much about it. And then we put that on there. And then that's mounted. Didn't have your appliance. I was going to show them that. Anyway, so now we have them mounted. This would be mounted just the way your byte registration was taken, whatever that was. Now this is just this plate down here. When we loosen this, these will go lateral. That comes in. This comes in into play and is important when you're doing reconstruction or dentures, because if you set your teeth up on the denture and you say you have 20-degree teeth, you want the inclines to be even and slide right. Well, you can, if you put your denture on here and you've got your occlusion all set and you close your denture down to that occlusion that you want, and then you open it back up about 1.5 millimeters, and then you unloosen this and you go into your excursions and you watch and you put articulating paper in there. You open this and you put articulating paper in it, and you can see which teeth hit on the excursions, and you're looking at the last half of the excursion, and so you can build the excursions, lateral movement of your occlusion into the system, so that when you go to the mouth you don't have to adjust it. And this gives you the idea of how you get these mounted, and wherever this model, when you mail this stuff off, you just take your models off. Well, you got these on. You can just pull your models off and put them in the mail. And the lad just sets his aligner, snaps them back on, and he's ready to do whatever you want him to do.